What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Portfolio's up $5,000 today, representing a 3.1% win on the day, which I'm super happy with. Looks like software stocks are finally bouncing back into showing some signs of life. So today I want to talk about a little bit more on these pickups that I did last week and how they're behaving today, why I think the software sector has been beaten up unfairly. And I think a lot of these companies are very quality, and the ones that I'm buying right now, and where I think the portfolio is going to head towards the end of the year. The goal is to have this at 300K by the end of the year, which will be dream scenario. If not, $250,000, I think it's also pretty good. And they're not all going to come from gains. I have a little bit of cash that I'm going to put into the portfolio to keep it working here and grow this to $1 million. So if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. I was reading the stats. There's like 92% of you that watch my videos are not subscribed. So subscribe right here. We just hit 200 subscribers today. Super happy. Thankful for you guys. I appreciate you being here. But today I'm going to talk about today's gains because we've had back-to-back $5,000 days, which is great because we were kind of in the hole. I'll show you guys here. I'll make myself smaller. On the week, we're back to basically flat. But as you can see, the portfolio is down to 152 not that long ago. June 25th, like 3 trading days ago or 2 trading days ago, this thing was in the dumps. And then you can see we had a big day and then another big day today. And hopefully this week we get another 2 to 3 good days. So we can be back to our all-time high scenario here, which is 189, adjusted to the new money that I put into the portfolio. So let's talk about today's gains and where I think the portfolio is going to head. Like I mentioned, a $300,000 goal for the end of the year is not out of the picture, especially because I'll keep adding money to this. But, a 250K goal, I think, is also pretty good. I'll be happy with that, but we'll shoot for 300. So this represents today's gains. As you can see, Meta is finally showing some signs of life. The stock has been beaten up so much these last couple of weeks. And you guys know, like, they now have rumors of raising money to go and spend money with AI, but they would have to dilute shareholders, and at their current prices, that would be a really bad investment for them. And there's a lot of fear around Meta right now, and people have been selling off. They don't like the company right now. I still like the company. I'm very bullish. I have this Leaps call right here. Amazon, we had a 4% day for Amazon, and it's a little bit exaggerated here because I have a little bit of leverage with this contract right here. And this expires in January 2027. So yeah, as you can see, 3.2% day for Amazon, which is great. You can see my contract was up $1,400 at the peak right after market open, which is really cool. And that's the power of Leaps calls. You get more leverage putting up a little bit less money, and honestly, a pretty safe and reliable way because, as you guys know, with options, it can be very volatile, especially if you're buying out of the money or close to expiry. It's kind of a gamble, but this is kind of the opposite. And today we're not going to talk about options or Leaps today, but Bitcoin and Ethereum and crypto in general are honestly at peak fear. This thing has been selling off so much lately. As you can see, we're trading at 60,000 right now, and we saw a $58,000 low. Crypto has not had a good year, and I'm not saying that this is going to turn around tomorrow. If you look at a 5-year chart, crypto and assets in general usually trade at similar support and resistance levels. As you can see here in 2024, we're trading in the $55,000 to $68,000 range for a good little while here. It looks like a couple of months. And I wouldn't be surprised if, Bitcoin kind of shoots up to 70 and then goes back down to 60 and then tries again a $70,000 level, goes back down to 55. It's very likely that we're going to be trading in a range like this before we have another breakout in all-time high scenario, which honestly, I don't know when that is. I expect this to be in the next 6 to 12 months, but who knows? I do think that crypto is still a thing, and all the doomers that are saying that Bitcoin and Ethereum and crypto in general are dead, I think they're wrong. I've been doing this for like 8 years now, and honestly, every couple of years, there's a bear market, and they talk about how crypto is useless and it's never going to recover. So do not buy into this fear. Of course, Bitcoin and Ethereum represent a small part of my net worth, like honestly, a single-digit part of my net worth, and less than a 10% allocation for the broader portfolio. If you look at your equity here, so I have $9,000 into Bitcoin. In Ethereum, I have another $5,000. So this represents around $15,000 or so, a little bit less. So not necessarily a huge allocation, like I mentioned, less than 10% of their broad portfolio, but I do like crypto and being a little bit exposed to that. So Google had another massive day at a 4.7%, driving $2,000 of the portfolio, which is really cool. Microsoft actually had a pretty flat or down day with negative $198. Amazon had a great day. And let's talk about the softer stocks that we've been investing in and I allocated pretty heavy into it last week in the last couple of weeks. ServiceNow, we have 84 shares and we're actually up 2.2% on the day, representing $187. Palantir, another great name for software, hitting 52-week lows last week. We have a 3% day for them. Zeta Global also having a phenomenal 4.7% day. And let's look at Palantir. I think this name right here has been sold off so much the last year. We saw all-time highs at 207, and Michael Burry started his short right here and actually hit it right. Honestly, whenever he shorted Palantir, I was like, Burry, I don't know. This was honestly peak FOMO, peak euphoria for Palantir back in November 2025. Like the stock had such a massive run in 2025. Like if we look at it, it peaked at 119 and then it went down to 74 and then 209 in October. Man, this stock had a year and I'm still bullish on Palantir. They do trade at a multiple that is, a little bit elevated. And I usually don't invest in companies like this. And that's why I only bought $1,700 of the stock. I'm testing new waters. And honestly, this was at a 52-week low, buying at 109. I think it's a fair price. So if we look down here, I bought very close to the 52-week low. It doesn't represent much, honestly. There are stocks that hit all-time highs and never go back to them. Like this, for example, we had an all-time high of 207 or a 52-week high back in October at 207. So this would be almost a double, which is awesome. And I'm willing to take that bet. Buying a 109 Palantir 52-week low, I think it's a safe bet. I honestly been talking about how I think money will start rotating to software again. People have been selling off into these companies, but they're phenomenal companies. ServiceNow, for example, generates billions of dollars in free cash flow. And they're also present in more than 85% of Fortune 500 companies, which I think it's crazy. They have so much market share. And this is a big bet for me right here. This is a satellite position here for me in my portfolio. You guys know Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and Meta are my main core positions. And this represents 5% of the portfolio with a 3% total return so far. If you look at our 52-week low, again, we're trading at $81, which is even a more egregious price level than Palantir. And we have a basis of $97. So we just happen to miss the 52-week low, which I'm okay with. At $92, if we go back to an all-time high of 211, let's say mid-year next year or even early next year, as sentiment starts to change towards these companies and we see a rotation into more quality software companies, compounders like Palantir, like ServiceNow, like some of these cybersecurity stocks, like Zeta Global, for example, I can see us reaching all-time highs for software stocks again. And yes, the market has been an all-time high, but the QQQ is not equally rated. A lot of the companies in there like SanDisk and Micron have been driving the returns of that index. So that's what I've been thinking of software stocks. I'm not saying the software stocks are back. Honestly, I don't know. Only time will tell. But hitting a 52-week low and Microsoft trading at their 200 moving average target, it's pretty crazy. I do think this is the bottom. It's hard to say because stocks just move irrationally and you think it's the bottom and it's not. And I've been buying all the way down. I've talked to you guys about this. You're never going to be able to time the very bottom of it. And that's why my ServiceNow basis, for example, it's at 96 and not at 81 because I don't know when this thing's going to be done selling off. But I want to buy right now because it's already down like more than 50%, which is crazy. So same thing with Palantir and Robinhood. They've been beaten up so much where I'm just buying the way down. So let me show you guys this clip of Bill Ackman talking about the companies that I'm long. And you guys know I'm a big fan of the guy. And he's also long Microsoft and Meta. In Amazon, I don't think he's long Google. He actually sold a lot of his shares. But I want to play this 30-second minute video here for you guys so you can understand like a mindset of a mega investor. And I find his take super interesting when it comes to this stuff. So let's dive into that. It's only 30 seconds.
So you've got Meta, Amazon. Have you got stake in Microsoft as well? Then
we do.
Yeah. So what for these big tech companies? Why now to get involved in it? Because if you look at some of the other names in your portfolio, you're very much you seem happy to go into lots of different industries. But do you think that one would have thought tech names are already priced out of the type of things that you would normally look at?
You look at Amazon, Meta, these are Microsoft businesses we've admired for many, many years, but kind of never got to a price that we found them compelling. Now, each of them are at prices we find compelling. And I think that it's a bit, the excitement of SpaceX, if you will, and what's going on, sort of semiconductor stocks, the AI energy play. People sold old tech. And I think people think of Microsoft as old tech, but we think they are incredibly well positioned for the AI era. Happy to go into whatever degree of detail you want. Meta is a little bit of a different story, but Meta's growth rates have accelerated dramatically as they're a huge beneficiary of AI and kind of serving ads to their customers on which the advertisers are getting much higher returns, which obviously is and people are spending more time on their Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp, et cetera, which is so the business is doing extraordinarily well, and the stock price is cheap, and the combination makes it interesting. So we care about business quality less than we care about business sector. So we're happy to own a quote unquote tech company if we think they're in a very strong defensible position and the price is right.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed that little clip of Bill Ackman there. I definitely recommend you watch that interview. It's 15, 20 minutes is phenomenal. He's just mainly talking about how Meta is growing revenues, even though they're spending a lot of money, and they're in a different situation than Microsoft, for example. And he also talks about how AI is going to be a big beneficiary for Microsoft. And he talks about how their business is very sticky, how their software licenses are less than $20, and companies are very, very dependable on Microsoft Office 365. Copilot's also an upsell for Microsoft, and how these businesses are going to benefit so much from AI, including Amazon too, and how Amazon is not necessarily like a retail company anymore. They're more of like an AWS and tech company, and into depth as well on that end. And he's talked about how these companies are phenomenal, but they're never traded at a price that he found compelling. And that's what I've been seeing a lot. And I think a lot of people are seeing too, where Meta trading at like an under 20 forward PE ratio, and Microsoft trading at a 22 price earnings ratio a couple of days ago, hitting a 52-week low, bouncing off the 200 moving average. These are phenomenal prices for these mega compounding machines that make cash hands over fist. And I'm just a big fan of these companies. I think they're the best buys right now. And in an era of semiconductors and SpaceXs of the world, a lot of people are forgetting about these companies. And I've been stockpiling them because I think they're phenomenal. And, only time will tell if these are good investments. This is not financial advice. This is just what I'm doing with my money. And hopefully you guys enjoyed a little bit more on Bill Ackman and his thought process on that. On the 2nd this week, we also have the unemployment report coming out. That's going to be the only compelling event. July 4th is a weekend, and I think July 3rd, the market is closed. So a little bit of a shorter week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. This is what we got for this week and where the portfolio stands, my thoughts on these companies, and why I think software is one of the better opportunities right now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what you think of the video. Don't forget to subscribe. We just hit 200 subscribers, road to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, road to $300,000 in the brokerage account. I appreciate you guys being here. Don't forget to leave a comment and leave a like. I'll talk to you guys soon.